Van D, a dynamic leader with decades of experience building companies and crushing sales. He's been there and done that.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Van D.
Inspiring audiences across the country to do it too. Here's Van.
Well, welcome everybody to the Van Deeb podcast. Man, I'm glad you're here with me today. You know what? I think it's time. Just take a second and think of something you're grateful for. This has nothing to do with my content today. I just want you to stop for a second and just think of something that you might be grateful for. I know this is one of those days that I haven't been at my best, and I had to say to myself, what am I grateful for? And I started thinking about it, and it literally changed my outlook and my mindset. So give gratitude a shot. It usually works. So today, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, and that's called mastering the fundamentals. I believe when you master the fundamentals, you will automatically become successful. And I'm going to explain why. So, when I go on speaking tours and gigs, people ask me all the time if I could attribute one area of my life that helped me enjoy a very successful 40-year career so far. I would always answer that question as saying I mastered the fundamentals. And when I say mastered the fundamentals, I don't want to make it sound like I'm done, because always trying to get better never ends. It's a journey. So I'm continuing trying to be great at the fundamentals. Just focusing on the basics and the fundamentals of what you need to do to be successful at anything in life is going to get you there. I'm going to quote you something from a quote from one of my favorite authors and motivational speakers, and I've listened to tons of them. I've sat next to him at authors and speakers conferences, but I really like Jim Rohn because he's a lot like me, that we're the type of people that just are loaded with common sense. Common sense, to me, rules the world, because we live in a world right now where common sense isn't so common. So Jim says, success is neither magical or mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals, which is what I want to talk to you about today. So most of you know I started a company called Deeb Realty, which is now called Nebraska Realty, and one of the largest in the country. It was one of the largest independent real estate firms when I built it, but I built it out of my 250 square foot basement, which is pretty small. Try and walk off 250 square feet. That's like a 12 by 10, 13 by 10 foot basement. When I started the company in 1993 with just me, myself, and I focused on the core necessities of building a business and a career. Well, part of the core necessities in anything in life, I believe you have to have drive, desire, determination, and discipline. So it didn't hurt that those were off the chart for me. I was never lacking for any of those. So the fundamentals are something that we can practice every day. And one of the things I will never do in an audience, I don't care if I'm at a big arena or if I'm in a conference room with 5 people, I will never bring up topics that everybody in the room isn't capable of doing. I would hate to go to listen to a speaker and they're trying to tell me all this direction and application that I don't have the ability to do. I'll tell you right now, everything I ever talked to you about these last several years of my podcasts, you are capable of doing this. So I highly recommend writing down a list of the fundamental things that you will need to do each day to accomplish your specific goals. So if your career, your job involves sales or service, it may look something like this. Write down 1, schedule time to make calls to current customers. Never underestimate the value of a past and current customer. They are by far, and this is a fact, your number one source of new business. I mean, think about it. If you've got a happy customer, aren't they going to tell more people about you? So what do you need to do? Maintain that relationship. Continue making them happy. So, number 1, schedule time to make calls to current customers. Number 2, schedule time to make cold calls to prospective customers. Now, when I say schedule, I literally mean put in your calendar, however you keep it, if you handwrite it or if it's on your phone or your computer, block out time. Tuesday from 9 to 11, I'm making phone calls, cold calls. Wednesday from 9 to 10, I'm calling past clients. Schedule it for past customers, current customers, and prospective customers. Then another thing, make sure that part of your to-do list every day is write 5 notes. Notice I didn't say thank you notes because you don't need to be thanking anybody. Part of the fundamentals is letting people know you're there. And a handwritten note, I've been preaching handwritten notes for 30 years. Now I see it's becoming a pretty popular topic, but it really does work. Write 5 notes a day to somebody. Dear Mike, it was great to see you last week at the event. If you ever need my services, please feel free to call. Know how much I'd appreciate you referring me. Anything. Think of something to make a handwritten note about. Number 4, and this is really huge, take 10 minutes. I didn't say every day. If you can, that'd be great. I think we all have 10 minutes. Take 10 minutes to learn something new in your industry. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. When I ask somebody that I'm going to buy something from that might be a basic question that they should have the answer on, and they can't answer it, I am immediately uncomfortable. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm probably not going to buy from that person. Knowledge is power. When you have knowledge, you make people comfortable. When people are comfortable, what do? They do business with you. So those are 4 things that you should be doing every day or at least often. Mastering the fundamentals is crucial for everybody. It doesn't matter what line of work you're in. The most successful people in business in the world and in every other area of life never stop putting time and effort into mastering the fundamentals. Just about every successful person I have ever met who is self-made like myself owes their success to constantly applying the basics and fundamentals. So I've had people ask me, what are the basics and fundamentals? They're just the core principles to make your business go. Let me give you an example. When a TV reporter interviews a college football coach at halftime, and the team is down by a few points, the reporter comes up to the coach, shoves a microphone in the coach's face, and says, "Hey, coach, what are your plans for the second half?" And I want to tell you something. I'll promise you, 99% of the time, the coach is going to say, "We're going to get back to the basics and fundamentals in the second half." Why do you think the coach is saying we're going to get back to the basics and fundamentals? Because it will make them win. No difference if you're in business, sales, and service. Fundamentals will make you win. The same strategy applies outside of sports. In business and in life, we're all going to have a bad day. We're going to be down by a few points, like in a football game. We're going to have a bad day, a bad week, a bad year now and then. And I'm speaking from experience. I have learned that the best way to get out of that rut, which if you don't get in a rut in your career, something's wrong with you. So if we're working hard and we're constantly trying to improve, we're going to have bad days. We're going to have bad years. I'm telling you, speaking from experience, I've learned that the best way to get out of that rut is to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath whenever you're having difficulty and go back to the absolute basics of what you need to do to be successful. If you've already achieved, let's say that you've already achieved your definition of success. Let's say you've already been there and now you're having struggle getting back to that level. In the past, what did you do to become successful? You need to get back to that same level. Well, the basics and fundamentals to do that are reapply your drive, desire, and discipline to go back and ask yourself, what did I do to become successful? Maybe you did cold calls. Maybe you called current clients. Maybe you did some stop into people's offices. Maybe you did some serious social media marketing. It's endless what you can do that would be considered the basics and fundamentals. Now, let me tell you something. One of the greatest things I love about going back and doing all the basics, it's usually pretty cost effective and it can usually be pretty darn near free. A lot of this stuff that I'm talking about won't cost you a dime. Michael Jordan, we all know Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players ever, says you can practice shooting 8 hours a day. But if your technique is wrong, then all you become is very good at shooting the wrong way. Get the fundamentals down and everything you do will rise. That's from Michael Jordan. It's the fundamentals that make us go from point A to point B. So as most of you know that have been listening to my podcasts or you've read my books or come to my speeches, you know I'm very hard on myself in a good way. I don't, get upset at myself, but I expect so much out of me. My time on this earth is limited. That's how I look at life. I want to be the best version of myself every day. Doesn't always work out that way, but I figure if I can be the best I can possibly be, how many other people am I going to encourage, inspire, and empower to be the best too? I never stop pushing myself to be productive every day, and I want to do something good. I want to do something good for someone else, not just for me or my career. I want to find things that I can do for other people. Maybe it's just being kind. Maybe it's a smile. Just remember, you won't always be able to think of new and creative things to do each day. Sometimes you have to be okay with doing something that is just routine, but it's necessary. It may not be sexy. It may not get you excited, but it's necessary. When you do this, you will feel good at the end of the day because you've been productive. And I want to tell you something. One of the greatest resources to remind yourself and application to get back to the basics and fundamentals is getting a copy of my book, Common Sense Selling. It's so popular, I had to revise it, and now it's even better than it was before. You can get your own copy. Some of you have this book already. I've gotten notes from you saying thank you, that you really enjoyed it. You can get this at vandeeb.com, my website. Go to vandeeb.com, buy the book Common Sense Selling, if I can say it, and you'll have it in your hands within 48 hours. This book, I'm telling you, Common Sense Selling, will be your go-to instruction manual whenever you need to be reminded of what you're capable of. And you can get more clarity on your goals. Buy that book. Buy it today. Watch your life change. You know, another person that I admire his coaching ability and how he is with other people is a great leader named Tony Dungy, football coach, football player. He says, we talked about some of our experiences, focusing, hanging together down the stretch, important games. It's not necessarily who has the most talent, but what team sticks together and execute their fundamentals the best. Did you hear that? You don't have to have the most talent. You just have to execute the fundamentals. I love this quote because that's describing me. I'm not that talented of a person. I wasn't born with this skill set that I developed today. I had to work on it. I had to practice and implement the fundamentals of what's going to make me successful in the sales and service industry. To get from where you are right now to where you want to be in the future, you've got to be diligent and create a discipline. So write these next 5 things down. Write these down or just keep playing back this podcast until you get it. 1 is you want to create a written game plan describing your goals. Now, I could get into goal setting and spend hours and hours and hours with you, but I'd love it if you had me come out to your company and I'll do a whole goal setting session and watch your market share increase after I'm done with you. Number one, create a written game plan describing your goals. Write them down. Number 2, write down what you will need to do today to make each of your goals a reality. Write down what you will need to do to make each of your goals a reality. Just start writing. Do you have to do it all in one stop? No. Put your pad and pen on a table. When you think of something, go write it down. This is mandatory. This is a have to. That's something we need to do. Part of fundamentals. Read your game plan every morning. Read your instruction manual. We all need directions. It's like when we're going somewhere we've never been. We punch in the address on our phone and it takes us there. Same thing with us. We need to punch into our brain where we need to go, but we need to have a written plan to look at every day so we know where we're going. Number 4, implement the plan at a pace that works for you. Remember, this is not a race. Implement a plan that it will go at a pace that works for you. Don't overwhelm yourself. I know people that make a to-do list that is crazy overwhelming, and guess what? They'll never do one thing on it. Make whatever plan you write down doable. Don't give yourself too much. You want to add to it over time? Feel free to. Number 5, and this is the most important, do something every single day that will move you closer to your goal. Something. You know, you're going to wake up every morning, God's willing. God's willing, you're going to wake up. Why not do something every single day that's going to move you closer to living a better life? All of this stuff could be a manual for living a better life. And guess what? When you make a decision to implement living a better life, everybody around you is going to benefit. Your significant other, spouse, your kids, your boss, your coworkers, your employees, your family. They're going to see that you're giving it your best. What's that going to make them want to do? If all of this mastering the fundamentals and the basics in life, if this, what I've told you, sounds really simple, you guys, it is. This is simple. If you care about your career and where you're going, every morning you should be looking at your direction, your plan. It's a basic and fundamental activity. Not enough people in this world spend time working on themselves, but you know what they spend time doing? Complaining. I want to tell you something. Before I came to record this podcast today, I was at the gym. And right behind me is a guy that's just going off. Every other word is the F word. I think he wanted everybody in the room to hear it. He's just complaining nonstop to the guy he's with about our current political situation. Naming names, just upset. I turned around. I thought there was going to be a fight because that's how loud these guys were. And I'm saying to myself, what if they put that energy into making their lives better? That's a lot of energy to come up with hate and criticism and anger. I really wanted to turn around and give these guys a motivational speech, but I thought maybe I'd get punched out. So I kind of kept myself. And then Dylan, my buddy, the producer here, would not be able to see me. Isn't that right, Dylan? Yeah. We don't want that to happen. He'd say, where's Van? Well, he got punched out because he gave his opinion to a couple bad guys. Anyway, use your energy for good. Make this happen. Listen to this podcast over and over, and please, please, please share this with somebody that needs to hear it. Words can make people's life. Wouldn't it be nice to know that you've encouraged and inspired somebody you know that could use to hear this podcast because you forwarded it to them? Like I say, if this process sounds simple, that's because it is. When you get back to the basics and fundamentals of being successful in your career, you will be amazed at the measurable progress you will make, and I will guarantee it. I'm going to ask you all, just like I say in my book, The Power of Asking, that talks about how everything in my career that's happened is because I've asked for it. Same thing with you. If you want a book that reminds you that you have a God-given power to ask for what you want in life, while you're ordering Common Sense Selling, order Power of Asking. Anyway, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to this podcast so you won't forget it's there. It'll be in your inbox once a month. I don't bombard you because I don't want people bombarding me, and I feel that maybe you have the same mindset. But I can't tell you how grateful I am that you take time out of your valuable day to listen to this podcast. Please subscribe. Please refer me if you know anybody that needs a motivational, inspirational speaker. I would love it. But you can check me out at vandeeb.com to learn more about me and to see my books and just kind of what I've been up to. But I'm sure grateful for you. Remember, you don't have to be born with this incredible intelligence. You don't have to be born into a family that's already successful. Once you make the decision that you're going to be successful or continue to be, remember, what brought you to the dance and every other successful person in this world is they mastered the basics and the fundamentals. Go get them. Thank you.
A Hurrdat Media Production.